Pre-summit conferences were held on the 13th and 14th of April before the main summit event. The pre-summit events were on the Youth Convention Forum.
Youth is not a state, it's a face. And in the Kenyan context, it's exactly 17 years. It's 18 to 35. So when we talk about being youth, I hope we remember that is a face. That some of us were where you are, and we went through that phase, and we are in another space. And therefore, what is it that you do to maximize on that period that you have?
We believe that affirmative action is a human right, and the representation of women does not compete with that of youth. I like what you said about if we are nominating women, then why not ensure that the women being nominated are also young women? And as Youth Agenda, again, in 2017, we did a very massive campaign called the Purple Zebra, where we were saying, when we talk about women representation, how many of those are young women?
When we discuss issues of youth, let us remember that the youth are not a homogeneous population. Within the youthful population, we have young men and we have young women. So as you plan, take that into consideration.
KYPA in the 11th Parliament passed a total of 14 acts in the National Assembly and 22 acts in the Senate. In the 12th Parliament, we have several legislative proposals that are underway that touch on the youth.
Pre-summit resolutions from the Youth Convention, whose theme was Youth Leadership Through Legislative Processes, resolved that young MCAs are to establish and adopt county-specific youth implementation tracking mechanisms to periodically inform and review the process of youth empowerment programs, youth job creation, youth participation in public decision-making processes, and available priorities for youth. Another key resolution was that the Senate and young MCAs should initiate a legislative process that will compel the county executive to develop a costed county integrated youth action plan that is aligned to the county integrated development plans. That is, the third medium-term plan of Vision 2030, the Big Four agenda, and the Sustainable Development Goals. The said youth action plans will guide the county governments during annual planning and budgeting, implementation of youth programs, projects and budgets, and monitoring and evaluation. The costed county integrated youth action plans should take the form contemplated under Section 47 of the County Government Act. The Youth Convention concluded with the launch of the Kenya Young Members County Assemblies Association, KYMCA, and its strategic plan. Conference for Legislators with Disability, PWDs.
And it is a clear testament of the fact that disability is not a taboo anymore, and that we can robustly discuss about it and openly talk about the kind of status that we get in society.
We are Kenyans who drive the economy of this country as persons. All the activities that other citizens of Kenya involve themselves in, we also involve ourselves in those activities and run the economy of this country. And the economy of this country, the Big Four agenda, can never be achieved without recognizing this very big potential market, this very big economic powerhouse of persons with disability.
We agree that we need to assess the implications to persons with disability of all our legislations, of all our policies and all our programs, with the ultimate goal of achieving inclusivity.
Parliament is already undertaking public participation on the Amendment Bill 2019. The bill, among other issues, will cure the question of if disability is a national or a default factor.
The Pre-Summit Conference for Legislators with Disability, PWDs, resolved that legislators representing PWDs ought to be adequately facilitated and resourced to enable them to effectively carry out their representative roles and mandates. They further noted that despite the progress made in the representation of PWDs in elective and appointive positions, there is still need for urgent electoral reforms to realize adequate representation of persons with disabilities in the National Parliament and County Assemblies in line with Article 81, C, 90, 97, 98, 100 and 177, 1C of the Constitution. As an immediate right, they called for action towards ensuring that the principle of 5% representation of PWDs in elective and appointed positions is realized. Further, they noted that although major strides had been realized in the decentralization of the operations of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, some essential services for PWDs remained largely inaccessible. As such, they called for greater consultation and collaboration among key players, including line ministries, particularly the Ministry of Health, the National Fund for the Disabled, among others. Conference for Women Legislators.
Women senators and GEC, it is your responsibility to protect women MCAs. You have no business doing anything else in the Senate. Yes. Before you start by protecting the women who will make you strong in the Senate.
A time has come that we need to empower our fellow women. We have been doing a lot of mentorship programs. But at the end of the day, what happens? We chicken out. Members of the county assemblies, remember, the stronger you make your caucuses, the more stronger you come out in the counties, the stronger the women in the National Assembly will be seen. The stronger the woman of Kenya will be to speak on her own behalf and on the behalf of her children. Members of the county assemblies, Senate, and National Assembly, if we can stand together, if we can only come together for one common purpose, the women purpose, the women empowerment purpose, I know we're going to achieve.
In realization of the resolutions made on the 3rd Annual Legislative Summit, over 99 of women legislators had registered their caucuses and formalized them. A resolution to train and build the capacity of women MCAs had also been carried out successfully, with the curriculum having been developed and women MCAs having been trained on key areas including budgeting and legislation. Some of the highlights of the resolutions from the 2019 pre-summit conference for women legislators include the need to review existing regulations with a view to harmonizing statutory institutions governing the establishment and administration of all affirmative action plans, to explore innovative mechanisms to promote equitable distribution of the positions of women, and a passionate appeal for the recruitment of male leaders to the He for She initiative aimed at supporting the quest for women leadership in the county assemblies.